The fate of ByteDance-owned TikTok in the United States is in the hands of the Supreme Court, and Donald Trump, who has vowed to save the app as a potential ban in the country next year, appears more likely. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit on Friday upheld a law requiring China's ByteDance to sell the short-form video platform or face a U.S. ban by January 19, 2025, the day before Trump replaces Joe Biden as President of the United States. TikTok is expected to file a legal appeal. If unsuccessful, the app could be banned in the United States for a day before Trump takes office, which would be a blow to the app's 170 million American users and the creators and merchants who rely on the platform. It would then be up to the new president to find a way to convince Congress to reverse the same law he passed with overwhelming bipartisan support this year, or find another way to do it himself. "This whole thing is going to be absolute chaos," said Alan Rosenstein, a law professor at the University of Minnesota Law School. What will TikTok do next? TikTok is likely to exhaust all legal avenues to get the law overturned. A first step would be to request additional review by the Washington Appeals Court or take it directly to the U.S. Supreme Court, which would have to agree to hear the case. If so, the platform will likely also seek a court order to temporarily stop the law from taking effect on January 19. TikTok said Friday, "The Supreme Court has an established record of protecting Americans' right to free speech, and we hope it will do exactly that on this important constitutional issue." The highest court in the United States has noted that entities that operate platforms have interests protected by the First Amendment, said Aziz Huq, a professor at the University of Chicago Law School. But he has also been open to limits on freedom of expression in the context of national security. What can Trump do? Absent a legal victory, TikTok's survival will likely depend on Trump. Before his election, he said he would not ban the app upon his return to the White House, in an attempt to preserve competition in a market dominated by Mark Zuckerberg's Meta, which the president-elect has described as an enemy of the town. Trump is unlikely to have the legal authority as president to unilaterally stop the law. He could ask Congress, where both chambers will be controlled by his fellow Republicans, to repeal the law. He could also pressure his new attorney general not to enforce it, while assuring Apple and Google that they will not be punished if they continue to support the app in their app stores. Rosenstein noted that the law allows TikTok to continue if the president determines that the app is no longer under Chinese control, arguing that Trump could simply declare that to be the case. Would ByteDance sell TikTok? The clearest way for TikTok to avoid a ban is through a sale that separates the app and its American user data from its Chinese parent company. TikTok has argued that the January 19 deadline is too tight for a sale, given its complex integration with ByteDance. But the appeals court disagreed Friday, saying it was a substantial amount of time. The sale would also be difficult from a regulatory perspective and could provoke a backlash from Chinese officials and the public. After the law was passed in April, ByteDance said it had no intention of selling the business. In 2020, China updated its export control rules that effectively give Beijing a say in any deal that involves selling Chinese technology to a U.S. buyer. Last year, China's Ministry of Commerce said it would firmly oppose a forced sale of TikTok. Still, some buyers have been hanging around the door. Frank McCourt, an American media and sports entrepreneur, has created a consortium of investors that would bid for TikTok through his nonprofit entity, Project Liberty, which was created in 2021 to advocate for a more equitable internet. A spokesman said this week that its investor group had made informal commitments of more than $20 billion in capital. Similarly, former Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin said in May that he was forming a group of investors to try to buy the app, while Rumble, a right-wing social media platform, said in March that it would participate in a consortium to acquire TikTok. Software group Oracle struck a deal with TikTok in 2020, known as Project Texas, to store the personal data of American users in the United States, but is unlikely to acquire the app wholesale. TikTok began moving U.S. data to Oracle Cloud in 2022. What does this mean for U.S.-China relations? The U.S. ban on TikTok has been seen as one of the latest signs that U.S.-China relations are on a downward trajectory and of a general lack of trust in Chinese companies operating in the United States. Trade tensions had risen this week after the United States issued another offensive against China's chip industry, the third in 3 years.